Hello everybody out there, Chris and Mike here, and welcome back to another Indies comic book review. In this indie review, we are going to be talking about books that came out of several indie companies the week of July 30th, 2014, the final week of July, and because it's the final week of July and it's the 5th week of the month, not too many books. We got 10 digital, a couple of physical. I didn't count them before we started the review, so... Six, so 16 books altogether. Guys, you're going to notice these reviews are coming out a bit late this week, and there's actually a reason to that. The reason is I had an unexpected thing I had to do. I found out last minute. Towards the end of the week, I found out I would have to do something during the weekend, and unfortunately that hindered my time, and reading got cut short, and videos got cut short. So it's because of this all of a sudden thing, everything's going to be a little late this week, but starting next week everything should be back on time. Yep. And some other big news is going to be coming. Not soon though. Not soon. Yeah. But there will be teasers for it. Maybe big not surprise. On this channel, but on Comic Frontline there will be teasers for it. But I'll leave that to be the teaser of the week for now. Yeah. So without further ado, let's get into some books before we get into the digital. Let's get into the physical, and my book is first.
Here you go.
The Wake, the grand finale. 10 issues later, we had the first 5 issues, which were amazing. Amazing issues. The series honestly should have ended there, because starting with issue 6 all the way through to issue 10, things went downhill. We got introduced to a new, a timeline, like, not a new timeline, we were pushed into the future, we were introduced to new characters, even though we did see Leeward in brief future flash forwards in the first 5 issues. I don't know, it just didn't feel it. And then this issue, everything from the first 5 issues to the last 5 issues culminated together. And finally, Leeward found out that the mer people aren't bad, they aren't good. You just have to ignore them. And the whole Wake, it involves, okay, be ready for this everybody, because you're not going to see this coming, because I don't think any of us saw this really, truly, honestly coming until it happened. It involves aliens. And the Doc from the first 5 issues, and a few other people from the first 5 issues, are still alive. They're in hibernation inside the ship, thanks to the mer people. Yeah. And the spaceship takes off. The mayor, the female president, or whatever she was, I could care less, because we all hated her character from issue number 6. She dies in this issue, thank you God. And Leeward just continues on, and now the mer people are swimming with her, and as long as you ignore them, they're not going to bother you. It's like, what the hell happened? What?
Wow.
I'm very surprised, especially because it's Scott Snyder. But in series like Batman Zero Year, where we got, what, 11 issues?
At least.
Once we got to the midway point, that should have been the end. Scott Snyder cannot he cannot write a maxi series, in my opinion, right now. It was a letdown. The last 5 issues were complete and utter letdowns, and I feel bad saying that because the Wake was so good. I remember going into New York Comic Con last year in October, and they were giving out Wake posters, and we were so pumped, and the series was so good. And a year later almost, because next month is, we're in August right now, and next month's September, and then we got New York Comic Con again.
Yep.
I feel bad. This series just ended up the way it did. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend the trade paperback. If you didn't read The Wake, you're not really missing out on much. In total, I give the series an average 3 stars, and the 3 stars are mainly for the first 5 issues alone. The last 5 issues really kind of took the other 2 stars away from the entirety of The Wake. So
from Vertigo.
Yeah, so I leave it up to you guys, but I don't know. It depends on your taste, but I didn't particularly like the last 5 issues of The Wake.
Alright, IDW Ghostbusters issue number 18, A Mass Hysteria Part 6, where we continue the adventures of the entity of Tiamat and the villains we saw from the past actually return due to the Tiamat possession, where they take on Vigo right here with amazing artwork.
Again.
What do you mean again?
Well, this is the second time they're fighting Vigo.
No, this is the first time, I think. Second? Oh, probably because I
Takes place after Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, so you mean... Oh, I thought you meant in a comic book.
No.
Oh, now to say that. And Ray has like these stun moments where he meets up with a Spider Woman, and like she torments him and everything as they take down Vigo. Well, the Tiamat entity of Vigo. Meanwhile, at the Ghostbusters headquarters, Egon and why do I always forget her name? Kylie are still doing the investigations of Lewis and Dana with the possessions, which they find out about that. And then we get a little bit of dialogue between Cass and Winston's wife. If you want to find out what it is, read the comic book. And we get a little bit of Peter and Dana moment.
Again.
No, I think Peter really still has feelings for Dana, and Dana just seems to shrug him off a lot. You know, since the past and everything. So now that Dana and Lewis are cleared of the entity, it seems it most likely is affecting someone else. One of the other Ghostbusters. And
Gee, Mike, is the only name you didn't say in this entire review.
Yeah.
Now people are just going to rewind and listen to Mike and see which name he didn't say.
What name?
Just keep going.
Yeah, so this comic book was really good, and highly recommend you check out this comic book if you've been reading Ghostbusters 30th anniversary, and unfortunately going to be canceled.
And now we go into Zenoscope for the rest of the physical copies. Grimm Fairy Tales versus Wonderland, issue number 1 of 4, written by Troy Brownfield, who gave us Clash of Queens, which Mike and I thoroughly enjoyed. This book, however, takes place after those events, plus the events in Wonderland issue 25. If you didn't read any of those books, almost tripped over my words, don't worry, because, like all awesome Zenoscope books, when you turn to the first page catches you up on everything before it immerses you.
And that's what's really good about, so that way you don't get lost of saying, like, what's going on.
Exactly. And then they immerse you in the story. And it's a split between Callie, who is now the Queen of Wonderland, because all the queens are dead.
Right.
Spoiler alert if you didn't read any of those other stories, but it tells you that in the beginning anyway. And Sela on Earth. But the main beginning of the story focuses on Callie. She has the ability to cure all the soldiers from all the different armies. But she's not curing anybody from the Spades army, and we'll get to why soon. There's a moment with Callie and her daughter. You can definitely buy this book. I highly recommend it, and check that dialogue out. She goes back to Wonderland, and now there is a worry in Wonderland, and that is the where was it? The Spade. There's trouble with the Spade territory, and Callie and any army or soldier that she cures, she gives a choice to. She could send them back to Earth, and they can live out the rest of their life happily, or they can stay and help her finish fixing Wonderland. And the soldiers that stay with her, some of them don't have anywhere to go, follow her, and the Cheshire Cat and the Rabbit are also part of her guild. They see the Spade soldiers walking into a what looks like a cave, and Callie's wondering where that cave leads and if it's a portal to somewhere. And we find out on the next page that's a portal to Earth. Who didn't see that coming? Then enters Sela Mathers, who confronts the Spade soldiers who are now attacking an unexpected city. She fights a couple of Spade soldiers, and then she finds one Spade soldier. He's just standing there staring at this old woman. She uses her powers to cure him, and it turns out it was a human forced against his will to be a Spade soldier. He didn't even remember being a Spade soldier. And the other Spade soldiers run off, and they go back through the portal which leads to Neverland, and Sela follows after. And when she gets to the other side, she sees Callie. She thinks Callie's the one that sent the Spade soldiers to Earth. Callie's trying to explain to her what's going on, but Sela doesn't give her a chance. And to be continued. Perfect way to end the first issue. But in the end, you know that Callie and Sela are probably going to team up and try to figure out what's going on with Spade soldiers and fix everything.
That always happens.
Of course, especially when it's two people on the same side.
Right.
So, it always starts off as a versus, and then it ends up being a team-up. By the end of this book, I expect Callie and Sela to team up. If they don't, I'd actually be surprised, but I have a lot of faith in Troy Brownfield. He did an amazing, awesome job on Clash of Queens, and Zenoscope just keeps knocking it out of the park with these awesome writers, starting with Patrick Shan, now Troy Brownfield. I'm really loving the writing and the people they're picking to write certain stories for their books.
Yes.
I have no complaints from any writers in the Zenoscope.
Because they're all excellent.
Yeah, because they're excellent writers. I love the stories that come out of it. So I'm not surprised that I give this a really high rating, and I can't wait for the next issue.
And the next Zenoscope book is actually issue number 1.
And it's an ongoing series. It's not a limited series.
Oh, good, because I like this one. Grimm Tales of Terror, issue number 1. And what I like about this, and I remember reading some like this in the other Zenoscope comic books where it leads into a story where...
where a woman's telling a story, yes. We've had that in the Halloween specials.
No, it wasn't in the Halloween specials. It was in the other one.
No, it was a Halloween special also.
It wasn't. I know it was there, but it was the other one.
There was other ones, yeah. Yeah. Christmas one, I think.
I think so. I don't remember right now. But
I don't know.
Anyway, there's this woman that like talks to a stranger, and she knows about him, you know, due to like her powers that she has, and she tells the story about how this woman had this man that in the house, Stephen, who was actually had this weird demon-like power, which wound up for her to kill him. And first of all, here's some artwork, which is really amazing. It was like watching a horror movie actually while reading the comic book. And she drives out where policemen are like saying, they pulled her over because of the same car and license, that there was a murder that happened and they want to investigate. And then things got a little bit too out of control where she pulled out a gun because they saw something suspicious in the bag. And meanwhile, she wound up going to therapy where she's talking with someone about her experiences, and he turned out to be a demon as well, along with her husband as well. And the ending was turned out to be very bloody.
Yeah.
And that's how the story ends.
And then there's some other tragedy that happens.
Yeah, and then there's another tragedy that happens from what happened in the beginning of the book. So what I really like about these type of Zenoscope books is that they, like when they meet with someone,
on the horror, and I like that. That's a plus.
And when they meet with someone, they said, "Well, I can relate to that." Oh, I think it was in the Salem comic book where she was telling the story.
Maybe.
I think that was it. I can't remember, but I really like these types of books. Really excellent read, and I can't wait to see the next story that will be in the next Terror comic book, and really good. Alright, next one we got 1 of 12 of Realm Wars, Age of Darkness, which takes place after Grimm Fairy Tales issue 100.
And before issue 101, because 101 takes place after Realm Wars.
So this is going to be a 1-year event.
Right.
It's 12
but Grimm Fairy Tales' main title takes place after this 1-year event. So Grimm Fairy Tales and the rest of the miniseries, plus these, won't be in sync with each other for quite some time. But the world is in chaos now. All the realms are now fused into Earth. Millions upon millions of people, billions, dare I say, are dead because of this. The other realms are crossing over into Earth. All that's left is Robin Hood. Not Robin Hood, Riding Hood.
Red Hood.
Red Hood.
Yeah.
And now the army, which is very, very small and far in between, are looking for Sela Mathers. And I'll let Mike tell the middle of the story for a little bit, and then I'll get to the end.
And then they talk about how the Dark Queen and Malik the Dark Ones are the ones that are behind all this. And what I found out more disturbing about the Dark Queen's character is that she takes these humans in due to the powering by Helios, and she makes the people that she takes in her slaves, and then winds up killing them. And it just gets more dark of her character, and I really didn't like her character since day one. So, you know, so there the Hippocorp, is it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Government.
basically, yeah, the government wants to find a way to assassinate the queen, but you know, there's so many plans of trying to do so, and basically, Dr. Vine is the key to their survival of getting to the Dark Queen. Or plan C, they pray and hope nothing of that happens, or something will come good of it. And then there's this other guy who's looking for Shang and Sela Mathers, and well, at the end of the book, he got his wish, and that's who he finds. So I really it's really I have really high hopes and that this is gonna be like a awesome year-round event. I mean, this is issue 1 to 12. You could definitely jump on this, but if you haven't read Grimm Fairy Tales issue 100, you really should. But if not, there's a beginning.
I thought Grimm Fairy Tales 101 was going to continue with the Realm Wars, but I was wrong. We were talking about this during the live show last week, and I said that this would be the backup story to what's going on in Grimm Fairy Tales, whereas actually this is the main story, and everything else is going to back up off of this. My mistake. So anybody who watched the live show, yeah, whoopsie.
Yeah, but this, along with Terror, gets a definite 5 out of 5 from Zenoscope. And now we have the next and last book, physical, of Zenoscope, of Warlord of Oz, issue number 3 of 6. Only 3 more issues left until we conclude the Warlord of Oz series. And in the beginning of the book, it just talks about how they got the possession of Glinda's wand, well, basically Dorothy actually got the possession of the wand to take out all of the demons or monsters, so to say, of the army, just using that. And we get this interesting new character right here that's a shifter. Smith, I can't remember, it was spelled S-M-Y-N-T-H, I don't know how you say that, but
Smith?
I guess Smith. But his character was really awesome. Like, he knows more about Dorothy and his mother, and he talks about himself being a shifter and everything, and basically you can read the whole comic book. And him and Dorothy go on adventures. Outside the Emerald City, Scarecrow and Lion see that there's terror that struck, and Lion has a conversation with a cub about what happened, and the cub talks about an army that has come there, like army men, and they're terrorized with fear and everything. And then we get more of the awesome artwork and dialogue between Dorothy and Smith, or however you say that. And I like his character, how he talks about how he became the shifter, and how their journey is going to mean something, and it really builds lots of foreshadowing for further comic book issues to come along, because there's only, like I said,
and she's
3
still
more
having
issues.
those dark dreams.
And yeah, she's still having those dark dreams. Thanks for reminding me, I almost forgot. And basically, we go back to Lion, Scarecrow, and the rest of the crew, and they're going to have their hands a bit full with some armies that they're going to have to take care of. And that's to be continued until the next issue. So this one is actually turning out really good. Can't wait to see how the next issue and beyond is going to be of that, including the last issue. So all the Zenoscope books, you know, each and every time we read it, they're not a disappointment. They're actually really excellent, and highly recommend you check out all the Zenoscope books and everything else that there is to it. And leave it. Oh, the timer? No. Yeah, we're still good. Alright, so
going into the digital copies now, I'm going to start off with an honorable mention, because this is an annual book, not really something part of the series, but it's still a cool read. It's Chew, Warrior Chicken Pollo, one shot. There's 2 stories in here, one about the president with Pollo saving the day, And what about some alternate world where again Polio saves the day, and then there's a lot of there's a little joke at the very end of this book where it shows him in it looks like the Walking Dead universe, and it says the next in the to continued with Undead Apocalypse Polio, and then there's an asterisk and it says not to be continued. So it's kind of like a joke, and then you get a lot of artwork. What do you call it?
Pinups.
Pinups, basically. Yeah, pinups is a good word.
Yeah.
By several different artists.
Or gallery.
Yeah, gallery. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, pinup galleries, whatever. Something.
And
like
next issue goes into the actual Chew comic book. So.
I still can't believe how you're still reading this.
It's a fun read.
For you, yeah, I know it's a fun read, but I'm just saying.
Warrior Chicken Polio is a funny book. It's a really good book. If you're interested, you'll be reading it. If you're not, you won't. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I enjoyed the read because I'm reading Chew. If you don't read Chew, if you're not interested in Agent Polio, you're not going to be interested in this. And I just want to see if there's any other Image books before we move forward. I don't think there are.
We do this one that I have up.
Oh my goodness, you're right. I am so sorry. Well, it came out this week, right?
Yes, it did.
So there you go. So I made a mistake, but we're done with Image anyway, so we're now going into Salient Comics.
And it is the return of Binary Gray, issue number
7.
Assailant. Yeah,
Assailant.
Assailant, yeah. By Chris Charleston. And we go to where we left off last time, where we think that Betsam is dead and Ken's father was put in the hospital, and it talks about how Ken said that ever since we took Alex in, it's his fault, and Mark's trying to say that he's wrong because Alex is really good for the team. And meanwhile, as the team is going out to see Tara what happened in the city, he has a conversation with Mort, and Alex says to him, you know what, I just want to leave because I feel like I'm at fault of all this, and I think it's best that I go. So as they're fighting off in the city, and as Ken's with his father because they didn't want him to go out because he needs to heal from what happened, Alex leaves, and everything with him left and right, things go bad, like withdrawing, then his car being a little from time to time. It's just a lot of things that's going on with all that. And plus, don't forget, the agents are the ones that are still after him because they want to kill him. That's why he stayed with the, I think they're called League of Protectors. It's been a while since I've read Binary Gray, so I hope that's what it is. And we get a little backstory about Alex's mother, the way, I don't think they say in this comic book. Don't go back, I don't know. And we get a little backstory of Alex's mom about how the way she was, that she was a little bit of a drug addict or alcohol and stuff like that. And he goes to see her. But then when the people go back with the head of the robot, they say there's something about it. And when Mort told them that he left, they don't like that because the agents are after him. So when Alex goes to see his mother, the agents are there and they capture him. But there's someone that is not dead. And who didn't see that coming? Because I knew that. And So
say his name, basically.
Well, I'll say it. Spoiler, it's Betham, which he's alive. And I have a little backstory with his father, too, which I forgot to mention. Really excellent. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more issues that are coming out of Binary Gray. And each and every time, Chris Charleston, definitely. For more comics, go to AssailantComics.com, and you can check out more stuff there. That's it.
Now moving into Dark Horse, Star Wars Rebel Heist issue number 4 of 4. This book wrapped up a bit quickly, and I can understand why, because Dark Horse is losing their contract with Star Wars after the month of August. So all their miniseries need to wrap up ASAP, and their ongoing series is ending actually next week, which is the 3rd week of August. So it's kind of sad to see Star Wars leave Dark Horse, and you kind of have to pray that Marvel do Star Wars justice, because the last time they had Star Wars, they didn't do so hot. But anyway, before Star Wars leaves the indie reviews and goes into the big 2 reviews, Rebel Heist. Who didn't see this coming? It's Luke Skywalker to save the day. The codes have been sent out. Everybody has them now that needs them. First person Luke saves is Leia. After saving Leia, he ends up trying to save Chewie, but Chewie's already basically saved himself in a way. Which then leads into Han, and Han doesn't need saving. He actually gets out on his own thanks to the codes. And it just talks about this guy who wanted to assassinate them, who was watching them, who was ready to kill them, and then in the end he just surrenders, he just gives up. And it all leads into the technology that on the generators, I believe they were. But long story short, the story ended itself really quickly. It solved all the problems in one issue, and it was all thanks to Luke, who basically saved the day with the princess. Granted, Chewie and Han basically got out of their problems on their own. Still, Luke was there to get Chewie, and then Luke was there. Han actually escaped on his own completely, and they all met up later. So it was a really good book. The artwork was great. It just felt very rushed. I feel like this book definitely could have gone on for another issue or two. Could have stretched out the story a little bit, flushed it out a little bit more. Unfortunately, due to the fact, like I said, that Marvel is taking over the contract for Star Wars. Star Wars was cut a bit short. This miniseries was cut short. But it is one of my favorite of the two It is my favorite of the two miniseries we have right now. There's this, and then there's the Darth Maul miniseries. This one is my favorite by far, and then the ongoing series obviously is my favorite. Like I said, guys, I just pray to God that they do the series justice. Another book I forgot from Image, but that's because we switched over really quick, and I can give this another really quick go over, is Witchblade 177. Witchblade is looking into the Darkness's wife.
Oh, wow.
Who is an Angelus, and she goes to this bar where there's this demon, and she looks for answers. Basically, that's the whole beginning of the book. Then she goes to Jackie's old mansion looking for answers. She finds no answers really there. It's a lot about her reminiscing or telling us as the readers, but her new partner, about her and Jackie, how they were together at one time. They had a daughter, and this leads into, of course, the Artifacts miniseries or maxi series, where to save the universe, basically, Jackie took the daughter and made somebody else the mother, and Witchblade lost the daughter, and then it turns out that there's something in the basement. What is that? You have to wait and find out, and there's some type of darkness virus that's going on, and it's to be continued right there.
So, wow, that's interesting.
Really good, but again, a lot of dialogue, very dialogue heavy, and I don't know, I just feel like this book was very dialogue heavy. Hopefully the next book will be a little bit less dialogue heavy. But again, for new readers, definitely accessible, definitely readable. I would definitely recommend it. So, other than that, give us 2 seconds, guys. We're going to switch over the camera, and then we will conclude this week's indie comic review. Alright, we're back, and we are now going back to Dark Horse to finish off. We have 2 more Dark Horse books, and then the rest of it's all IDW. Let's start with Deep Gravity issue number 1. I did not like this issue. I didn't find it...
To me, I thought it was okay.
Well, I found it boring. And then this poor guy who was asleep for 3 years...
Paxion?
Whatever his name was. Yeah. He wakes up, his friend puts him in danger, and he loses his 2 legs. And he's like, oh man, I forgive you, no worries about it.
No, wait, that's not Paxion.
I don't know. Whoever lost his legs... I was so bored halfway through the book. I had to read this for Zone 4... this past Friday. For those of you that didn't check it out, check out Zone 4's recent episode. Came out last Friday. I just didn't like this book. I have no urge to come back to it. It was very boring. The artwork was okay, but it was just boring.
Yeah, but really, I think it mostly focused on, I don't know how you say his name, his story.
But he's a jerk.
Yeah, because he was like saying like all this was a big mistake because he had this girl that were together and everything, and then things went, haywire. I mean, it was a lot of dialogue also, but I don't know. Like, I'm not really too crazy about, like, if issue number 2 came out, I wouldn't like say it's a big loss or anything. Like, oh my god, I gotta see what happens in issue 2. I mean, I thought it was okay, but it mostly focused on just the 2 characters that we mentioned. I know one of them was that name. The other guy, I think it was Craig. Or Greg.
Greg or Craig, whatever.
No, Greg, I think. Greg. Or I don't know. But It was okay. I mean, it's a hit or miss for you guys if you want to check and see for yourselves. And, oh yeah, let's do this one.
Captain Midnight issue number 13. How was it?
Oh my god. And this comic book was really amazing. It first talks about Captain Midnight and, wow, I can't believe, Jones. He was with Mr. Jones. And there's these other people that Captain Midnight had encountered with in the past. And both him and Jones take care of it. And I like how Captain Midnight uses his drones, like non-lethal drones and everything. And then he used like all these gizmos and gadgets. Also, I want to make this, and I'm not going to spoil it. We get Charlotte, who returned, and she has a talk with somebody. And I'm not going to tell you who it is. You have got to read it. But I was like, wow. Like, that was really something. But going back in action, they, like, team up against Mr. Jones and Captain Midnight. Team with each other to take out the people who are after him. But now, here's the thing. The villain did get away. But he's holding someone that's near and dear to Captain Midnight hostage. And who didn't see this coming? He is going back to being Captain Midnight.
Who didn't see that coming?
And he says, first I need a shave. So you get this man a razor blade and come back for the next issue of Captain Midnight. So I saw this coming. I thought maybe another issue, maybe he would have. But after this, I knew there was a chance he wasn't going to come back. So.
Alright, rest is all IDW. Samurai Jack issue number 10. Mike, how's it going? Because I know you didn't like the last issue.
Yeah, well, it had no dialogue. This had dialogue, and this is where Aku comes in and says, like, oh, Samurai Jack, he foils my plans each and every time. So what he wants to do is that he wants to try to get him when he's vulnerable, which is when he goes to sleep. So while he's sleeping, Aku thought maybe if I invade his dreams, I could destroy Samurai Jack once and for all. So it looked like a pointer for Aku that was capturing and doing... Haku? That was Aku. I've been playing too much Crash Bandicoot games, probably. But yeah, so he goes into his mind, and it looks like that he's winning, but then after a while, Samurai Jack... mind you, it's Samurai Jack being a child, teenager, etc., until he became a samurai. And he's like... And then he becomes like he is now, like invulnerable and everything, and takes him out... as the issue continues. And he's like saying, but how? I thought in the dreams I could get rid of him and all that stuff, you know. But fortunately, well, it's fortunate that Samurai Jack knew about all this and everything. And then he wakes up, had a weird dream, and then I like that he takes the earwax off and just puts on the rock, which was Haku. I thought that was funny. But, it's really amazing how, even in his dreams, he is still strong. And...
yeah, I love Samurai Jack.
Yeah, Samurai Jack's really amazing series. I mean, it was a little bit disappointing an issue or two back with no dialogue and everything, but it's really something else. And speaking of Samurai Jack, involving all the other characters...
And keeping with Cartoon Network, Super Secret Crisis War, issue number 2.
Oh, yes. Where all our heroes have been captured in the last issue by the villains. And also after the Johnny Bravo one-shot. So the villains are just saying, you know, how they're going to take over the world and everything else. And they treat Mojo Jojo like a second-class villain. And to be honest, I think Mojo Jojo might turn against them. Because they treat them, you know, like, you know. And then they introduce themselves, everybody. And the Powerpuff Girls get out of the tube, as well as Samurai Jack, Ben 10, and Dexter. Along with Ed, and Eddie. Because I knew they were going to get out of there. I mean, that was really obvious. And they're fighting off against the robots, and they're saying that Dexter should stay back because he doesn't have superpowers like the other people do. So they're fighting off against the robots, and they're trying to figure out what do these villains want with us, and we know that they want to take over the world. I mean, they should have known that. They faced their villains how many times? They should know that. So then, as they're trying to figure out why these villains are still following them, and Dexter had the head of the robots, knowing where their specific location is. And here's something really interesting. They get the robots and they clone Dexter, Samurai Jack, Ben 10, and the Powerpuff Girls. And I like how Ed and Eddie saying, what do we, Chop's liver? We don't get a clone, and the Squirrel 2 from the Johnny Bravo one-shot. But, wow. How they're going to go up against their own kind and their own clone? Well, that's to be continued in the one-shot after the, what's that one-shot?
Well, it's to be continued in issue number 3, which is taking place, and then after number 3 is the one-shot with Billy and Mandy.
Billy and Mandy, yeah, thank you. I couldn't remember what the name was, but I really like how they're interacting with, or crossing over actually, not interacting, crossing over with Cartoon Network. Like, something I thought I would never see in a comic book that actually happened in a great and positive way. Really good.
Transformers, Robots in Disguise, issue number 31. The search for Alpha Trion continues, and I'm really getting annoyed with, what's his name? Prowl and his, constant, what's the word I'm looking for? Contrary attitude towards Optimus Prime. Every time Optimus Prime wants to do something, he has to disagree and wants to do something else. And it has to be weighing down on Optimus.
But he's
anyway,
the leader.
Jazz, it starts off with a flashback with Jazz remembering killing the human way back before they went back to Cybertron, going back to Cybertron, and now being back on Earth again. And now they found this secret base on this island that no human could live on at one time. And it turns out the ship that brought Alpha Trion to Earth is there. And Prowl's basically proven right. Because Optimus wants to stay hidden, but or he wants to focus on one thing, but Prowl says let's focus on another because we found the ship. And he recommends that Optimus use lethal force because of one thing. Optimus says no, the humans aren't going to be hurt. RC knows about what's going on at in the end of the last issue where what was his name? No, Scavenger was a Decepticon spy, and Prowl's like, "Have you told Optimus Prime?" She's like, "No." "Are you going to?" She says, "Do I have to?" And he's like, "That's not the question. Do you trust me?" And she's like, she's like, "I'm loyal to one thing and one thing only, and that's the Autobot dream." And he's laughing, and he's like, "Just go worry about Optimus. Don't worry about anything." We find out what the base is for. We find out that Decepticons show up and find out about the base. We get more flashbacks to right before the Decepticons up Cybertron. And then we have the Autobots storming the beach because, to be honest though, if you really look at this,
right
if you look at this from an outside source, the Autobots to the humans are looking like the Decepticons, and the Decepticons are working with the humans, which I think Prowl is just continuing to add on to the bad outlook of the Autobots. But he actually jumps out of the ship also before it takes off. And we don't know why, and we find out later on. Jazz finds Alpha Trion, and it turns out that, spoiler alert here, Prowl actually might be another Decepticon spy. So it might not just be Scavenger. Him and the Constructabots Construction Bots might be Decepticon spies. I don't like the way Prowl is right now. I hope he is, just so that we can get rid of him and send him back to the Decepticons or something, because something's definitely wrong with Prowl at this point, and I don't like his contrary attitude to Optimus.
Yeah, because Optimus Prime is the leader and knows what he's doing.
Yeah, so they need to be separate at this point.
Definitely. Because
it's getting to the point where Prowl's getting very annoying, and he fights with Optimus all the time.
There's going to be a versus one-on-one with them.
I hope so.
Can tell.
Stars, or at least maybe he's being corrupted, and Optimus will go into his brain and fix it or save him or something.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that.
Anyway, Star Slammer issue number 5, the last book for this week. How was it, Mike?
Star Slammers was very good. It starts off where we find out in the last issue that all the armies were laying on the floor. So the Colonel, I think Colonel asks Vidya to think of in the mind of who probably did it. So he gets the visions of who did it, but then he lost his power. But the description was some about a human with teeth and something like that, and they're going off to find out who this person probably is. There is long dialogue, and the artwork's great, by the way. And he's trying to read off who might be the one that might be behind this when they go to a bar, and they find out that the bartender is one that's to be a little bit suspicious about. So they go after him, all of them. Also, before this happened, they went to the king, and he was a little, or liege, and he was a little bit ticked off with what happened when the armies died. But beside the point. Going back to the bartender thing, they're trying to get him, but it turns out that all the debris fell on them because the colonel said not to shoot, but it was too late for that. Meanwhile, the colonel met with someone who does go up. Who is it? This guy up again, down. I think right there.
Rojas?
Yeah, Commander Rojas, who is the author that the colonel's been reading about. And let's just say that there might be something else that might lead one step closer to who did the whole killing of the army. And oh boy, that's a bit of a rough situation that they put themselves in. But really good. Can't wait to see next issue. It's turning out to be pretty good. So definitely check it out if you haven't yet.
Alright, and that's it for this week's Indie Comic Book Review. Guys, in the comments below, let us know your thoughts on any of the books we talked about here, whether you agree or disagree with us. Any recommendations, if this review got you to go out and check out one of these books. That's what the comment box is for. And your comments will be mentioned on this Friday's weekly comic book haul.
Along with questions if you have any.
Yeah, any questions, feel free to ask them, and we will answer them also on the weekly comic book haul. Also, don't forget to check out comic-related, Comic Frontline, and Zone4Podcast.com. Together, we are your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. So until next time, everybody, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and we'll see you guys in the next review.
Later, everybody.